the microphone for me. Yeah. A man of great stature. Yes, I too want to hurry through. I've been having a real hard time with trying to figure out, do I cheer for the Cowboys or do I cheer for the Texans? I'm not sure. But anyway, let me go real quickly through a state of our organization, kind of like a State of the Union, because we are about, in my opinion, to embark on the next stage. We've been working on the next stage of our organization, and I want to reflect a little bit about where we've been, where we are, and where we're going, because I think it's very, very important. I'm really happy to see so many new faces. How many of you who are here visiting for the first time, or with us the first time? Can you stand up, please? Stand up. Come on, we want to recognize you. First-time visitors. Thank you very, very much. We really want to acknowledge, because we have been growing. We have been growing. Our organization has been moving along, and in my opinion, and it's not just my opinion, I must tell you that in talking with a lot of the other Tea Party organization presidents all over the state, they really look to us with a lot of as leadership. They look to us a lot because we seem to be moving along a lot faster, and our organization is a lot better than in other places. Our accomplishments over the past year, we've done a tremendous amount of outreach, which I think is directly related to why we've got so many new faces and so many folks interested in our organization. We've done meetings with elected officials. Now, that's very, very important, and I'll touch on that in a little bit. But the meetings with the elected officials that we have begun, both at the U.S. congressmen, the local elected officials, we still need to work on the state reps, but the local elected officials, we've been meeting with them on a regular basis. And it's very, very important that we do that, folks, because one of the things that we want to be sure that the elected officials, as well as other organizations, understand is that they shouldn't believe what they hear on MSNBC and what they hear on CBS and NBC and ABC and the New York Times. They shouldn't believe that we've got horns, that we bring our own hoods and white sheets to these meetings, that we're hobbits, that we're terrorists. What else have we been called? That we're any of these things. And it's been very, very good for us to meet face-to-face with these elected officials and organizations like the Hispanic Chamber, like ICE. We had a great meeting with one of the assistant commissioners of ICE. I even had, believe it or not, I had a breakfast with Miss Choco Mesa. I don't know how many of you know who Miss Choco Mesa is, but Miss Choco Mesa is the chairman of the Democratic Party of Bexar County. I had breakfast with her. We discussed all sorts of interesting things, but that's the kind, don't laugh, don't scream, please. It was a very, very good, interesting meeting. And that's the kind of thing that we've been trying to do, is get them to understand that we are people of principle. We're not politicians, because one of the first things that they ever, what is it that you people want? Well, in some cases, we want your job. You know, that's what we tell them. In other cases, all we want is for you to follow the Constitution. So we've also had wonderful events. For example, we had a candidates forum back in, when was it, August? July. We had a tremendous interest in that. We had a great turnout. All of the folks that are running for the Senate in the Republican Party were there. It was a tremendous event. We've also had training for poll watchers. We've had participation in several events across the state. And these things, again, bring us out into the forefront so that people know who we are and what we're talking about. The other thing that's been very, very important, in my opinion, as far as outreach and getting people to know us, has been the Express actually has been running occasional articles, editorials. The radio and TV folks are beginning to know who we are. They call on us. Luckily, I'm able to talk both in English in an intelligent manner, although sometimes I get yelled at by that, but also in Spanish as well, also in an intelligent manner. And that's been good because Univision, I don't want them to get away with anything. The growth and the interest of the organization has been tremendous. There's also the issue of the neighborhood organizations, the neighborhood groups. The neighborhood groups are very, very key to our grassroots efforts, folks, because that's really, in my opinion, the folks that are at the core of the foundation of our organization, and that's been growing along. There are new supporters at each one of those meetings, and some of those meetings are beginning to exceed the capacity of where they're meeting. So that's a great thing. So where are we going? Well, ultimately, folks, the goal for everything that we do is the 2012 elections, okay? At the national level, the national election, the state elections, and the local elections. Anything that's coming up in 2012, that's going to be our goal. Ultimately, though, is getting Mr. Obama out. The impact the impact that we want to have, folks, is also very, very critical. And we've begun to feel it, or they've begun to feel it at City Hall and at the county commissioners. Here is the critical question, not only for Mr. Obama, but also for the mayor, the county commissioners, as well as anybody in Austin that's listening. It is the rights of the governed versus the opinion of the elected official to act as they feel is best, okay? This is very critical that we understand that, because this issue keeps coming up. The elected official seems to feel, or should I say, many elected officials seem to feel that they know what is best, regardless of what the governed are saying, okay? We saw that very, very clearly this past week with regards to the budget and the issue of extension of benefits for the domestic partners. Now again, we looked at it not as a moral issue. You know, I told the city council, I flat don't care if they're sleeping with animal, vegetable, or mineral. You know, if they're not married, how do you determine it? On top of that, what is the impact fiscally? And what was their response? We've already made up our mind. That was their response. In spite of well over 100 people standing up in opposition. At one meeting, I bet you it was almost 10-1 in opposition. And what did they do? They went ahead and did it. And this is not the first time, folks. It's not. You realize that the county and the city are getting ready to get together on VIA. You know, again, twice the voters have told them no on VIA and the mass transportation projects. Twice. Does it matter? No, they're getting ready to do it again, okay? The issues related to the changing of the street name Durango. There was an upcry about that. Did they listen? No. There's been lots and lots of examples that we can point to, folks. And the issue has now come to a head, in my opinion, okay? We as the Tea Party don't want Obamacare to be pushed through and Nancy Pelosi says, let's push it through and then we find out what's in it. That game should not be played on the local level too, okay? How many people were in opposition to Obamacare and they rammed it through? How many people have been in opposition to several issues here, and what do? They ram it through, you know? When they condemned the state of Arizona for its immigration policy, how many people told them, forget it, that's not an issue? What did they do? They went ahead and did it. So folks, we must draw the line. Now I'll say it because they can call me a racist, but that's okay. But for a long time, since the time of Henry Cisneros, we have had liberal Hispanics. It's time for some conservative Hispanics, but liberal Hispanics running the show. And these liberal Hispanics have been in bed, and I'll, I'm not going to say literally, but, you know, since they passed the domestic partner issue, who knows? They have been working in cahoots with developers, and developers have been giving them big, big bucks. So it's been that coalition. And even in the paper today, in the San Antonio Express, Stroud points out that there was money given, you know, from City Hall to special interest, to special, developers for projects. There you have it. You know, it's got to stop. At the risk of somebody accusing me or putting me on YouTube, I will say exactly what Thomas Jefferson said, that periodically we have to water the tree of liberty with the blood of tyrants. Now, again, no, wait a minute. I don't want you to, you know, I don't want somebody to run off and say, yes, George Rodriguez is calling for the blood of tyrants. But folks, every so often, we have politicians that get used to the fact that they're in charge, and we've got to change that. We have to remind them, or we have to remove them even better. There has to be a change periodically because they become rooted, they become used to it, and they become tyrants. And what we've got now, since the time of Henry Cisneros till now, is Cisneros wannabes and doggone leaders that want to run the city their way because they think it's best. And what do we need to do? We need to change it. Just like we concentrate on changing the folks in Washington, it's local politics. All politics is local. So, how do we do it? Here it is. Here's the formula. First of all, the neighborhood leaders, the neighborhood groups. That is key, folks, because that's where it starts. That is where we hold the city councilmen, the county commissioners, the state reps, the state senators. That is where we hold them accountable. That's number two. Okay, but the first one is to get yourselves involved in the neighborhood groups. How many neighborhood group leaders do we have in here today? Where are you? Stand up. Stand up. Neighborhood group leaders, stand up. These folks, these are the folks that have various groups. There are others around, okay? But what we would like to do is have neighborhood groups in every part of the city, particularly on the south side, particularly on the west side and on the east side. We want to have neighborhood groups because those are the folks that can organize the neighborhood. We need precinct leaders as well, precinct chairmen. We need to demand meetings. No, not ask. We need to demand meetings of the elected officials. Mr. Mayor, he was running for mayor, the mayoral candidacy in April, and we repeatedly, the San Antonio Tea Party repeatedly requested meetings with him to quiz him about his positions. We even made a list and sent him a list of the questions that we had. Did he ever answer? Even now that he's been elected, he still hasn't answered us. Now I ask you, is that democracy? No, it's not. Say it. Is it? Okay. We've got to get people involved and get out to vote locally, statewide, and nationally. And finally, folks, we're going to be working on the message, because one of the things that's happened constantly is that the liberal media plays up a message that is always one that favors them, never favors us. And we've got to put together and structure messages that are given to the media that we can promote to the people that are our message and make sense. Folks, I really, really want to thank you for everything that you do. I'm really happy that you're supporting our efforts. Thank you very, very much. Let's keep up the good work, and let's make them know that we are the people of the United States. We govern them. Thank you very much.